Welcome to another myrow podcast. I'm here with Chelsea Moore. Chelsea is the founder of Row Fitness, and she's also a myrow coach. We're very privileged to have her as one of our coaches and also to be a guest on this podcast. Hey, Chelsea, how you doing?
Hi, good. How are you, Gary?
Good, thank you. So what we're doing today is we sent out, Chelsea had a workout called, or has a workout called the Dirty Dozen, and it was pretty popular with the myrow community out there. And we didn't send a layer or a piece of that workout because it was a little complicated to maybe instruct the folks at home how to program their PM5s. And so Chelsea is actually going to demonstrate this feature of the Dirty Dozen workout, which is really fun. I think you'll really enjoy using it. And by the way, once you get your myrow tablet a little down the road, we're hoping trying to make that as soon as possible. You'll actually be able to do this Dirty Dozen workout with the pace boat feature, which is what Chelsea is going to talk about and demonstrate on the myrow tablet. But in the meantime, we wanted you to have that experience of the pace boat feature on the Dirty Dozen workout with the Concept2 now with your PM5. So Chelsea, why don't you take it away and just talk about the Dirty Dozen workout and kind of give it a little refresher on what the Dirty Dozen workout is, and then you can demonstrate how to set it up.
All right. Sounds good. Well, so for those of you who don't know what the Dirty Dozen workout is, it's 12 intervals. We're going to do 40 seconds on, 20 seconds rest, and it's 12 in a row. So it's 12 minutes of work. The first round of it, I guess, is stroke rate right around 26, RPE around a 7, so pretty high up there in intensity. Be consistent and get through 12. And then we're going to basically reset the monitor screen so that you have a pace boat so that you can specifically race yourself. Because as you know, in working out, it's really about your progress and your achievable goals that we're trying to set up for you. So second round, you're looking to, at whatever stroke rate and whatever RPE, which, kind of assume that it's a little bit higher. Second round, we're going to go to beat your pace boats. And then the third round is the hard one. You want to beat your pace boats for one more round. So 3 rounds of 12 intervals.
Okay, that's not that confusing, so maybe we can go to the setup. It's a little confusing, but I think once people see it, it's actually a really good explanation. Just kidding, Chelsea, but I think now we can take a look at the PM5, set it up there, and then we can kind of go through it and explain it again as you're setting it up. But that was great.
Yeah, so I can go ahead and set up this monitor so you guys actually are not confused. It can be very simple, but I do understand that sometimes setting up intervals on a PM5 can be a little bit troublesome or confusing, but I can just make it easy for everyone.
And it'll be much easier on the myrow tablet. Shameless plug. But
yeah,
anyway,
that's right.
There you go. Great. So we're going to have Chelsea demonstrate the setup of this workout, of the Dirty Dozen workout. So Chelsea, take it away and let's see what it looks like.
All right. Well, I'll make it as not confusing as possible for your PM5. So to start, light it up, hit menu, and then we're going to do select workout, new workout, and then you see intervals on the 4th line. You got to hit that first, and then we do intervals time on the 2nd line. So getting through all of that, we come to a set time, and it has the 1. You can see that 1 is flashing. That just means the cursor is on that 1 minute, so we can adjust that. We need 40 seconds, so you hit the minus sign once, and then we need to move over. So hit the top right button once, and then that'll move you over to where that minimum 20-second popped up. So we're going to do 40 seconds, so we press the plus sign 2 times, and then we need to get down to the rest time. So hit the top right button 4 times, and then get down to that rest time, get to where the cursor is over where that 0 is, and we need to change that to a 20-second rest. So we're good to go. Once you get 40-20, that is set up. So to start, we have a regular display. So I want you to hit the top right button 1 time. So just a regular screen. And what we're doing, and like details of the workout, it's basically stroke rate around a 26, and then your rate of perceived exertion is around a 7. So that means we're not maxing out. We're looking for consistency. We're doing 12 intervals. So the way the intervals work, to start, you just basically pull the handle and then it's going to start your interval. I'm going to do my best to pull this for you so you can actually see it activate. There you go. So this is going to start ticking down, and the number in the top right is the strokes per minute. So that's has to do with cadence. We're trying to settle in right around to 26. And then give me your effort, but not maxing yourself out. This gets all the way down. We're basically going to get that down to 0 before we go light pressure, and then you have a 20-second rest. And that's just one interval. So we're going to do 12 of those. So it's essentially 12 minutes.
Let me just cut in there with a question, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you haven't set it up as 12 intervals, right? You have to basically, it's going to show you which interval you're on, right? So it will, you have to really watch that screen.
You can see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just before it said interval 1, you can see what interval you're on. And then on rest time, it'll say what interval you just did. So we're essentially trying to get this to say interval 12, and then that means you're done.
Okay. So when you're in interval 12, you row interval 12, right? And then you're finished. So when it gets to 13, you've gone too far. So the rest, it doesn't show the rest interval. It doesn't show the number. But when the rest interval is just rest. But when you get to 12, row the 12th interval and then stop.
Yes. So you can see, so we're on right now. This is an on 40-second. And then this says interval 2.
Okay.
So that means that you are in interval 2.
Right.
And then after this interval has finished, so we should be rowing hard. We should be around that 26, RPE 7. And then we're finishing up. We have 7 seconds left. Keep going. We know we're still in interval 2. And this is going to say you just did interval 2. So the moment you know when you're done is when it says in this second line, if it says interval 12. And then, so basically we're going to go through 12, and then just note that your average here, so we're looking at your average watts. You can change the units if you prefer a different unit of power, but basically you're looking for consistency. So I want you to be aware of it and be consistent. Like if you're going to hold 150 for one of them, then you want to hold, around 150 for the next one, and all through 12 if you can handle it.
Okay, so you want to hold the same watts for each of those 12 intervals, and you want to hold the stroke rate of around 26 for all 12.
Correct.
But you also want to hold an RPE of around 7. So if that means your watts goes down or if it goes up, you want to kind of be considered or be mindful of the RPE.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely don't want to get into maximum effort on the first line for a good reason, and maybe it'll make sense after I explain the whole thing.
Right.
So essentially,
I was going to say, so like, for example, if you're like at interval 11 in this round and you want to hold the same watts, let's say it was 150 and you're like the 11th interval, and to get to 150, you're going to have to go to maxing out an RP 9 or 10. You don't want to do that. You want to back off, have your watts decrease a little bit, and try and hold that RP of around 7 or so. Yeah.
And the stroke rate being consistent should help a little bit, so we're not maxing that tempo out. And when you increase tempo, oftentimes that gets you closer to maximum effort, and we're not trying to do that. So be intentional about your stroke rate. The number in the top right, just making sure that that's still around a 26.
And just to be clear, when you say tempo, you mean stroke rate.
Yeah. Cadence, stroke rate, tempo.
Good. Great. Okay. So round 2.
Okay. So big things are going to happen in round 2. Round 2 is kind of like the bread and butter of this workout. So round 2 is where we get to introduce the pace mode. So let me show you. So after you're done with 12, after you see that you've done 12 intervals, just hit menu, because it's just going to continue until you stop.
Oh, but just a quick question. So, how much of a break should people take between round 1 and round 2?
90 seconds to 2 minutes. Don't take too long. Get a sip of water, shake it out, stand up, let your heart rate down. Essentially, we want to get your heart rate down to around 120, 100, 120.
Well, obviously, depending on
who
your
you
age
are.
and gender, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so we're going to set up the next one. So to do that, you hit menu. It's going to come back to your main menu, and then we hit select workout. And then on the third option, you'll see rerow. So click that, and then it goes to a list. So don't panic. This is just the memory of your PM5. It's very unique to you. What we're going to do is you can see that there's an arrow at the top. You want to make sure that it stays there. We're not going to arrow down at all. Just hit rerow again. And then we get back. It's going to be 40 seconds up, and then it's basically going to repeat what you did as far as the intervals go. But we're going to add a layer to it. You're essentially going to race yourself, which is really fun, I think. Hit the display button twice, or if that confuses you, just hit the third button. It also gets you to a pace boat. So you can see that there are cute little boats. The top boat is your active boats. That's what you're going to be doing. This is who you are in this next race. Then the bottom boat, that pace boat, is basically the memory of line number 1. And there are going to be 12 separate paces that come out and come at you through the 12 intervals that we're about to do. They're all very uniquely paced, but it has everything to do with what you did on the first line. So if you started your first line, the first interval of the first line at a 150, and then the next interval, the second interval of the first line, you dropped to like a 145, then that's what's going to happen on the pace boats on set number 2 as well. And what your challenge is to beat the pace boat. So the top boat ahead of the bottom by a small margin.
So just
Does that
be
make
clear,
sense?
yeah. So just be clear, just a question, Chelsea. So in the first round, if you did in your first interval 150, in your second interval 148, in your third interval 146, that will correspond to this pace boat in the second round. It will show you your pace boat that is at the bottom will be running at a 150 in the first interval. In the second interval, the pace boat will be at a 148. And the third interval, the pace boat will be at a 146. So your goal is to just slightly beat that pace boat, go a little faster than that pace boat for each interval in the second round of 12 here.
Yes,
Great.
exactly.
Good. Okay.
But there are 12, so it'll ebb and flow with you, and your goal is to beat it by a little margin. And I mean that, and I want you to hear that, because we're going to be racing these again. So the line number 3 in the Dirty Dozen workout is basically beat it again.
But
so
one sec before you go into round 3, just in round 2 that we're doing now. What about stroke rate? Do you want to keep that 26 stroke rate or not?
It doesn't matter anymore. So we're just focused on the pace boat and beating the pace boat by a small margin.
Okay.
You can adjust the stroke rate. You can work harder. You can push harder per stroke. It's whatever you need to do to beat the pace boat is what you're looking to.
And what about your RPE for this second round of 12?
RPE is essentially going to be a little bit higher.
Okay.
So we're trying to pace and sustain and keep the quality really high. And the anticipation is that you are going to need a little bit more behind each stroke because you need to make that boat a little bit faster.
So maybe it jumps up to an 8, something like that for the RPE?
I would say probably in best case it's an 8.
Okay.
We're avoiding the maxing all the way out, so I do not need everything from you on line number 2.
Okay. And by the way, just in case we haven't said it before, or maybe you're not familiar with the phrase or term RPE, it's rate of perceived exertion. So it's how you're feeling. Like 10 is maximum effort. So in this round, the first round, we're looking around a 7 out of a 10 scale, and maybe on this one, maybe an 8 out of a 10 scale. So it's not an all-out effort. And obviously, the RPE changes depending on how you feel, if you have night sleep and other things, nutrition. So it's how you're feeling today when you're doing this workout. Okay.
Yes.
Great. All right. So let's go to the third round of the Dirty Dozen when it really gets dirty.
Round 3. Okay, so this is the one which is going to be more potential for failure. And what I mean by failure is we're not beating all the pace boats. But this is the beauty of it. We're here for a tough workout. You don't get to do a Dirty Dozen workout without it being a little bit hard. So the setup is exactly the same as what you did on the second round. So hit menu, select workout on the second line, rerow on the third line, and then again, the top line is what we're looking for. It's the most recently rowed thing that we're looking for. So make sure that you keep the top line selected and hit the rerow button on the bottom right. So bad news and good news. Bad news is, well, let's start with good news. Good news is that it's reasonable, and this is you against your paces. So nothing is going to be out of reach. Bad news is that if you beat your paces on the second round, they are going to be harder on you than what the second round was. So it shows you exactly what you did on the second round. All 12 of them have everything to do with what you did on the second round. So as you said examples of the first, second, and third. Let's just say on round number 2 on our second round of 12, you did like 160, 165, and 170. The first three intervals of the third round are going to be 160, 165, and 170. And you're looking to go a little higher than that. But you also don't want to max yourself out because we have 12 to get through. So 12 wins is what we're looking for on round number 3.
Right. So,
does that sound exciting to you, Gary?
Oh yeah, I can't wait to try it. Let me ask you this: in this third round, what about RPE? Are you going all out? Are you going to a 9, 10? Is this an all out or what?
It's gonna be closer to a 9 and potentially a 10, depending on how you arrange this. But I want you guys to focus on as many wins as you can, and I want you guys to do your best to win all of them if you can handle it.
And just beating the pace.
That RPE is going to go pretty high.
What's that?
The RPE is going to go pretty high.
Okay, and you just want to beat the pace boat by a small margin, really, is all you need to do.
Correct.
Shooting for. And then what about stroke rate? Any advice on stroke rate for this round?
Expect the stroke rate to need to be closer to a 30.
That's pretty high.
But
wow,
that is pretty high, and it's going to push you. But if you were able to handle the second round without increasing the stroke rate much, so you kind of pushed harder per stroke,
right,
worked on the quality a little bit, then maybe it's around a 28, maybe it's 27.
Right.
Depends on how much finesse you have on each of these rounds.
Right. Yeah. So yes, if you by pushing harder, you can accomplish a lot. You don't have to get your stroke rate up that high if you know how to get the maximum out of the rowing machine by pressing harder and having good form. Right. What they say is good technique gives you free speed. Right. So to the extent that you can use your legs and have good form, maybe you can accomplish beating that pace boat without getting the stroke rate up too high. But it's kind of your choice here, right? You can choose the high stroke rate, lowest stroke rate. Main point is to try and beat that pace boat at each interval.
Yes. And it should be for anyone who does this workout, doing that many intervals for 3 rounds. That third round is going to push everyone who does this workout.
Yeah.
Sometimes you find that you can't handle the paces after 3 rounds, but I want you guys to try this workout multiple times and see how it evolves for you. I think it could be, if you find that you get a little bit too high too fast, maybe the next time we need to go a little bit lighter. The numbers on the first round need to be a little bit more reasonable, work on quality a little bit, and then sometimes it's just about doing workouts like this to build endurance.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun, Chelsea. I'm saying that kind of a little bit facetiously, but no, I think it's a lot of fun. And we did get great feedback from the Dirty Dozen workout from folks at home. Okay. And that was without this pace boat feature, right? So I think this will make it even more fun. And
they're going to love it.
Yeah, so we'd love to get your feedback. Tell us if you love the workout, if you hate the workout, or anything in between. And this should also give you some great material to work with. You can design your own pace boat workouts. We'd love to hear your thoughts on, hey, maybe you want to do 4 rounds or 5 rounds, or just a little interval, mix up the intervals, the time of the intervals, maybe longer, shorter rest periods, longer, shorter intervals, and just kind of play with it. But I think this is a great feature to work with. And as I said, the pace boat functionality, pace boat feature we will have on the myrow tablet as well. And so it'll be even easier. You won't have to press all these buttons. So we're going to work that to build that into our software for you to try that at home. So when myrow tablet does come out, you'll be able to enjoy these kind of workouts too, or not enjoy them so much. We hope you'll enjoy them. And don't yell at Chelsea too much if you're all spent at the end of this. But the idea is to get a good workout too. It's not just to kind of sit on the rowing machine and play the violin at the same time. All right.
That's a good point.
Well, Chelsea, thanks so much for being here and demonstrating it and being a myrow coach. Really thrilled to be doing this with you, and we'll see you all again soon.
All right. Good luck with this workout, guys.